Hello and welcome back. Today's video is going to be a pan that palette update. I'm pretty excited. I have made some good progress. I am trying to pan the Anastasia Soft Glam palette. I am not trying to finish this palette. I am just trying to hit pan, and then I may switch to a different palette in a couple months. I will link my intro video if you did not see that. I have done pan that palette on my YouTube channel for several years, so if you want to see those videos, you can watch the older playlists. And I also have a project pan playlist. I will link that in the description box. I'm doing a lot of other project pans where I'm trying to finish items up, hit pan, and things like that. So check those out if you are interested, and let's get into this video. As I mentioned, I've been working on the Anastasia Soft Glam palette. I'm trying to make good progress on this, and I may switch it out for a different palette at some point, but I have decided not to do that yet. But I think when I do that, I think I'm gonna go with my other two ABH palettes, because I've mentioned many times that I stopped supporting the brand a while ago, and I think if I make more progress on the three palettes I have, I do think I'll finally feel okay with letting them go, but I still enjoy them, so again, I don't want to be wasteful and get rid of products that I still like. I will say though, this is not my favorite palette. I like it, but it's just not as amazing as I once thought it was. I'll give more thoughts on that later, but first let me show you what my palette looked like at the intro. Alrighty, and this is what my palette looks like now. I do have one new pan, which is exciting, and that is Sienna. So I hit pan on Sienna, and I didn't work on all of the shades. I just kind of picked a few and worked on those. So mostly I worked on Tempera a little bit as a brow bone color. I am actually wearing that today as a brow bone highlight. That's a nice color for my skin tone, I will say. It's a little bit brightening. It helps blend out crease shadows. So I actually really like that one for a brow bone highlight. Dusty Rose, I didn't work on that at all. Orange Soda, I did work on that some. I used that as a crease color quite a bit. I don't have much of a dip going in that one though, which is interesting. Burnt Orange is one I already had pan on, but I did expand the pan, so that was exciting. Those shimmers in the palette, I didn't touch any of them. And then obviously I used Sienna the most because I did hit pan on that. I used Rustic a couple times, but Cypress, Umber, Noir, and Mulberry, I did not use those at all. Basically how I used Sienna so much that I was able to hit pan on it was that I used it all over my lid and the crease and the lower lash line. And then in the crease, I would blend it out with either Orange Soda and or Burnt Orange or some other lighter browns from other eyeshadow palettes. As I've mentioned many times, I rarely use just one palette to create a look. So with my Pan That palette, I really don't use this for an entire look. At least for the most part, I don't. I like to add in something else, especially because also, again, this isn't my favorite palette, so I like to kind of spruce it up with other things. I did take a picture of a look that I wore a ton. So this was kind of a big look that I did where I had Orange Soda and Burnt Orange in the crease, Sienna all over the lid and a little bit in the crease. And on top of that, I actually added one of the pop shadows from the Charlotte Tilbury Bella Sophia quad. If you've been watching my Using My Eyeshadow Palettes project pan, the Bella Sophia quad was in that project, and I found that was such a nice way to use it. That pop formula from Charlotte Tilbury, I gotta say, I really enjoyed it. And it worked well on top of a matte eyeshadow because you could see the sparkle, and if I used a wet brush, there would not be fallout during the day. So I thought that was a really nice look. I really enjoyed that. I did also wear that same look a few times without the pop shade on top and just an all matte look. And I did like that as well. Yeah, now that I've used this palette pretty much every day for the last month in some capacity or another, it pretty much has solidified for me that the Anastasia formula is just not my favorite anymore. I just like other formulas better. Again, it is not bad, but the mattes, they don't blend as well as other eyeshadows do, in my opinion. Now, I wonder maybe this palette, it's getting older, so maybe that could be part of it. I've had this palette since it came out, and I think that was in 2018. So I've had this palette for over 2 years at this point. I think about 2.5 years. Maybe the formula has, you know, deteriorated a little bit. That's possible. I'm not certain, but I think I remember even at the time that I got it, I still did prefer other mattes even at that time. So I don't think it's necessarily that it's older, but you know, I cannot say that for certain. I really was not tempted to use the shimmers in this at all. Now, as you can tell, 3 of the shimmers I already had pan on, and I don't know, I just remember those formulas being not my favorite again, so I really didn't feel tempted to use those. My goal is to hit pan on as many eyeshadows as I can, so part of it was, well, I already have pan on those, so I didn't really feel like using them, although I did use burnt orange and I had pan on that already, but I like that. That is kind of like a perfect light to medium brown for me to use for an everyday look in the crease, so, you know, that may be part of it as well. Hard to say, but overall, I am enjoying this palette. I've decided I'm gonna keep working on this one. I'm not gonna roll anything new in, but at some point I do wanna roll in the original Norvina palette and the Sultry palette, because I would love to just get as much pan on these palettes as possible and then get rid of them at some point. You know, not right now, but just kind of thoughts for the future. I've done several YouTube videos lately talking about, you know, I have a lot of eyeshadow palettes. I have 100 palettes. And throughout this year, I would like to declutter a few just to kind of get that down a little bit if there's something that I really don't love. But I do not want to declutter just for the sake of decluttering. And I feel like I can get more out of this palette and enjoy the looks. So I like this palette. I don't love it, but I am enjoying using it. And because the colors are so neutral, it's really easy to mix this with other eyeshadow palettes. So I used a lot of the other palettes in my capsule collection for the month, and also in my using my eyeshadow palettes project pan. I used those a ton. I really enjoyed those. So yeah, overall, I think it's going well, and I really am happy that I'm not trying to put pressure on myself to, you know, completely finish this thing or anything like that. But I am happy that I expanded the pan on a shade, I worked on a few others, and I hit pan on one. So that would be pretty exciting to continue that level of progress for a while here. Now, I was kind of trying to think of what my goals would be. I may switch it up and try a different everyday look. I could go to Dusty Rose and start using that and go for more pink looks, which, you know, a February, Valentine's Day, maybe that would be a good idea. I will say the color Rose Pink, that one I like. I think out of the shimmers in this palette, that one is definitely my favorite because I think it has the best formula. Dusty Rose, I know that I like, and I have a really big dip going in that one as well. This is one that I had this in a project pan sometime last year where I was trying to hit pan, but then I eventually decided I didn't want to do any other projects where I was trying to hit pan on eyeshadows other than pan that palette. So it's kind of why I stopped working on that, but Dusty Rose is probably my favorite shade in this palette. And I do think there's something about it that I think it blends better, at least from what I remember. I haven't used this color in over a month at this point, but from what I remember, I felt like it blended better than some of the other mattes in here. I don't know. I will say the color Mulberry, that is beautiful. I really like that one, and I haven't used it a ton, so maybe that one I would work on as well. So yeah, maybe Dusty Rose, I'll try to hit pan on that one just because, again, I have a dip going in it. And I want to try to use tempera more because this last month I had another palette that I was trying to get to 100 uses on for that project pan. And I was using a very similar cream colored shade from that palette to set my eyeshadow primer and use as a brow bone highlight. But that is a step I love to do every day. I take a color like this, slightly lighter than my skin tone. That's what I prefer, to lightly set down my eyeshadow primer. It really helps blend out mattes, just what I've noticed. And then I like to use a matte kind of cream colored shade also to use as a brow bone highlight. And I feel like that helps blend my crease colors. So for me, that's an everyday thing. And this color works well for my skin tone for that purpose. So now that I don't have that palette in the rotation, I may use that color. I think that would work very well. Overall, I did enjoy working on this palette, and I gotta say my favorite thing has really been doing the capsule collection. That it's my absolute favorite thing that I've been doing. I just like how I've combined all the project pan stuff and Shop My Stash together, because then I just know what I want to use, and I don't know, it's been really fun. It's probably my favorite thing that I've been doing this year. So yeah, and it's also probably one of the things that has helped me the most on my low buy, which yeah, very exciting. I did do a low buy update video. I think that should be up by now. Hopefully it is, but yeah, that is going really well. And yeah, I'm feeling pretty motivated about project panning at this point, I gotta say. And I think part of that is because I don't really have new stuff coming in. I hardly bought anything the first month on my low buys. So I do think it helps that I don't have new stuff coming in, because then I'm more motivated to use Project Pan and shop my stash items, because I don't have anything new coming in to even use. So I don't know. It's been a lot of fun and I'm feeling very, very good about it. I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying using my collection. That's kind of been my big focus for this year so far. And yeah, I think it's going pretty well. No complaints. Again, this palette, at some point I would like it to be out of my collection, but I think I could get more use on it, that I would feel like I've gotten more of my money's worth out of it. But yeah, definitely won't be finishing this. But I am happy with how it's going. So let us know, how is your Pan That palette doing? I know a lot of people do the Pan Those Eyeshadows project. I love watching everyone's updates, but I don't think that's something I'll be doing. I much prefer this method. But yeah, that is it for this video. Check out my Project Pan playlist. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.